It's another time for us to discuss our literature topics, for us to, led by me, of course, to be able to diffuse the perception that literature is a very difficult subject. And today we are continuing with our last lesson that is on poetry. And in the last lesson, we looked at the meaning of poetry, some features, and my way of categorizing some types of poems. Today, I want us to look at what I call some examples of poems. Now, I want to be quick to establish, as I always do, or as I always did in the past, that when we talk about types of poems or examples of poems or whatever heading you deem fit to give to it, I always say subjective. Therefore, what somebody may call a type of poem, another person may look at it as an example of poem. One of the key or important things that you have to note as a learner is your ability to understand the explanations that have been given. Today, I want us to look at some of them, which are elegy, dirge, eulogy, lullaby, villanelle, epigram, limerick. They are the ones I've selected for today's lesson. So it's going to be a very short but interesting lesson. Let's kickstart with elegy. What is an elegy? Elegy is a composition in the form of a poem to be recited or read, or a song to be sung, also a poem, but to be sung in the form of lyrics. That is full of lamentations about the death of a beloved one. I'm using beloved because anyone that dies is loved by somebody. So when a poem is written, read, or to be sung, and it's full of lamentation that talks about or that laments on a departed soul, you can call it an elegy. Closely related to an elegy is a dirge. One of the key differences between an elegy and a dirge is that dirges are usually songs. They are also poems. They are also full of lamentations. They also lament about the death of a beloved soul, but they are sung. Elegies are not always sung. They are not limited to be sung. They can be read, they can be recited, but dirges are sung. So songs of lamentation, some people call them funeral songs. That laments on the loss of a beloved one is a dirge. Now, also in the family of funeral or recounting the lives of someone who has lived or lamenting is eulogy. Just like dirges and elegies, eulogies are also written. They are forms of poems that are written for the dead. But unlike this, the earlier two, dirges and elegy, eulogies are not sung, they are just read or recited, and they chronicle the lives of the people or the beloved souls that are departed. When I say chronicle, I mean they recount, they try to look at the lives that these people have led on earth before departing. So, and usually they are in a positive tone. Usually, most of the eulogies that you hear of or you read are in a positive tone that laments the death of someone because of the good legacies that this person or these people have left behind. Now we have lullaby. I always call lullaby a mother's song because one of the famous composers of lullabies are mothers. What then is a lullaby? I think some people say lullaby, but I think it's lullaby. A lullaby is a song that is sung to put a baby to sleep. They are sung to soothe the nerves of the baby and cause that baby to fall asleep. Usually when the baby, babies sometimes refuse to sleep. Some resort to crying and all sort of things. So you start singing a song that will suit their nerves and cause them to sleep early. And these songs are called lullaby. So you now understand why I said I call them mother songs, because mothers are the best composers of lullabies. Now, a villanelle. So before I look at the meaning of villanelle, in poetry, a number of lines in a poem has a name. When you write just a 2 lines poem, usually with the same rhyme scheme, we refer to it as a couplet. If it is a 3 lines, tercet, 4 lines, quatrain. 5 lines can be called a quintet. Not always though. We have sextet, 6 lines. So when we look at villanelle, we are looking at a 19 lines poem. A 19 lines poem. Now, not all poems written in 19 lines are called villanelles. No. For a 19 lines poem to be classified or to qualify to be called a villanelle, it has to possess certain features, or it has to adhere to certain principles. Now, one of the main or the key principle is the rhyme scheme. All villanelles have the same kind of rhyme scheme. And another key feature is that it is written in a certain format. The first 5 stanzas are written in 3 lines each. The first 5 stanzas are written in 3 lines each. So stanza 1, 3 lines, or a tercet, stanza 2, tercet, stanza 3, tercet, stanza 4, tercet, stanza 5, tercet. Then the last stanza, which is the 6th stanza, is written in 4 lines, or a quatrain. That establishes the fact that all villanelles are written in 6 stanzas. First 5 stanzas in tercet, last or the 6th stanza in a quatrain. So 5 times 3 is 15, if my mathematics is right. Then plus the last stanza, quatrain 4, making 19. So a 19 lines poem written in 6 stanzas, with the first 5 stanzas written in tercet and the last stanza in a quatrain, is called a villanelle. Now, the unique or the desired rhyme scheme of a villanelle is ABA for all the first 5 stanzas. So stanza 1, ABA. Stanza 2, ABA. Stanza 3, ABA. Stanza 4, ABA. Stanza 5, ABA. Then the 6th stanza, which is the quatrain, is ABAA. ABAA. So if you read a 19 lines poem and you do not identify the features I just outlined, it is not a villanelle. Now, from villanelle, let's move to one of the, I actually included this in these examples of poems because I believe that to be a good poet or to be a lover of poems, you should be able to, one, decipher short, intelligent statements or short, witty statements. And a short and witty statement is called an epigram. There are a lot of epigrams on the internet. There are a lot of epigrams said by famous people, both those in the academia and those even in politics or not in academia. They said, an example is, don't wish for it, work for it. Now, if you hear someone say, don't wish for it, work for it, it's a very deep statement. Don't sit at the comfort of your home or your room and be wishing for all the good things that life can bring to you. Go out there, hustle for it, work for it. Then you can achieve it out of your hard work. So don't wish for it, work for it. That is an example of an epigram. All that glitters is not gold. It's also an example. There are a lot of epigrams around. Short. They are usually short but witty, intelligent statements. Now, the last type that I want us to look at today is limericks. A 5 lines poem is called a quintet or can be called a quintet. It can also be called a limerick depending on the features that it contains or entails. Now, if you read a 5 lines poem that is short, humorous, full of humor, funny, and follows a specific rhyme scheme, that is, the first 2 lines should always rhyme with the last line. The first two, A, should rhyme with the last one, A. Now, there are other authorities who also believe or mention that with a limerick, the rhyme scheme is fixed, A, B, A, meaning the first two rhymes with the last line, then the third and fourth lines must be the same. They must also rhyme BB. But other authorities also mention or believe that the only straight part of a limerick is the first 2 lines rhyming with the last one. What that means is that the third and fourth lines could rhyme with each other like BB or will not rhyme BC. So it means a limerick can have about 2 different rhyme schemes. One is AABBA and the other is AABCA. But once there's that specific rhyme scheme that it follows, full of fun or humor, you can call it a limerick. There are other types of poems, a lot of examples of poems that exist on the internet. And with time, as I teach and I continue to take you on this journey, I will mention some and I'll try as much as possible. I'll be so conscious, or I'll try to be conscious and explain any new example or type of poem that I mention in my class. Now, I also want you to comment. This is a class, so it's just like asking questions. Just comment what you want to learn, what you've read about but do not understand, and I'll make a video of it in the form of what I'm doing now and explain it to your understanding. In our next class, we'll be looking at some poetic devices or some literary devices, or some people say figurative devices. One thing that makes poetry interesting is the ability to write and include these devices. So our next class will start with the sound devices. When we are done with the sound devices, we'll look at other figurative devices. Thank you for being with me or staying with me in today's class. Have a nice day. See you again. Bye bye.